Today in our 2011 Toyota Sienna, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Etrailer Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number E98853. So here's what our hitch looks like once we have it installed. Now what's really going to set this one apart from others on the market is that cross tube is going to be completely hidden behind the bumper, so all we're going to see is the receiver tube sticking out. And the big benefit to that is we're not going to have that section hanging down all the way below the bumper, so we're going to have better ground clearance and not have to worry as much about scraping a driveway or speed bumps when we go over them. Now our hitch is going to give us a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, so we're going to have a lot of different options when it comes to accessories we're going to mount. The way we're going to mount them is through the hitch pin hole here on the side, and it is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. While these are not included in the kit, you can pick them up here at Etrailer.com. Now as far as the safety chain connection points go, it's going to be a loop style welded to the bottom of the receiver tube. And as you can see, we're going to have plenty of room to get most size hooks on or off. And since it's that loop style, we're going to have plenty of room and not have to worry about any kind of interference with our hitch pin. And one of my favorite things is the finish on this hitch. It is going to have a flat black carbide finish on it. So it's not going to have that really high gloss, but it is going to protect the hitch and help hide scratches and dirt a lot better. As far as weight capacity goes, our hitch is going to have a 525-pound tongue weight, which is going to be the maximum downward force at the receiver tube. It's also going to have a 3,500-pound gross trailer weight rating, which is the amount it can pull, including the trailer and everything we have loaded on it. Now with those numbers in mind, you should always double check your Toyota's owner's manual and never exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight. But with the tongue weight being that high, it is going to be ideal for some of those larger cargo carriers or bike racks all the way up to 5 bikes. I'd like to give you a few measurements and that'll help you when deciding for accessories for your new hitch. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper, it's going to be right about 3.5 inches. Now that measurement's going to come in handy whenever you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have adequate clearance and it doesn't come in contact with the rear bumper. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening, it's going to be right about 12 inches. And that measurement is going to come in handy when you're looking for ball mounts to make sure you find the appropriate riser drop to match up to your trailer. But also, at that height, I would recommend a bike rack or a cargo carrier with a raised shank to give us a little bit more ground clearance. So now that we've seen what the hitch looks like and gone over some features, let's show you how to get it installed. To begin our installation, we're going to come to the back of our Sienna and we'll come underneath and we're going to have this appearance panel that we're going to have to remove. We're going to have a total of 5 bolts, just like this one right here, going along the back edge. So we'll grab a 10mm socket and pull those out. Then we're going to have multiple push pin fasteners like here. And with these, you're going to want to get a flathead screwdriver. You're going to want to pop that center section out. It'll release the tension, and then we can pull the rest of the clip out. Finally, we're going to have 3 of these screw type fasteners. You want to grab a large Phillips or flathead screwdriver that's going to be big enough that it'll engage the fastener and we can unscrew it. Now a lot of times when we go to unscrew this, it'll just start spinning. So if you need to, you can kind of slightly pull down while you're loosening it. And for now, we're going to set this panel aside. Now we're going to have to lower our exhaust. So I went ahead and sprayed some spray lubricant on the rubber hanger here. And we're going to want to slide that rubber isolator off. The exhaust will have just a little bit more room to move around. Just take a pry bar and pry against the hanger so we can slide that isolator off. Now the exhaust isn't going to come down very far, but it's going to give us enough room so then we can get our hitch up to the frame. Now if we come to the bottom of the frame, we're going to have several plastic plugs. We're going to need to remove those. The ones that have the notch in it, we can take a flathead screwdriver. We're just going to loosely unscrew them. And then we can pull them out. Now the one towards the front, that's just going to be a flat plug. We're just going to want to take that flathead screwdriver and pry the plug out. We're going to want to remove all the plugs on both sides of the frame. Now underneath those plugs, we're going to have some weld nuts that are inside of the frame. You want to make sure that those are nice and clean and there's no dirt, debris, or rust. So I'm going to spray a little spray lubricant inside there and then take a nylon toothbrush and clean each one of them out. And once you have them cleaned out, it's not a bad idea to grab one of your M12 bolts and make sure that you can easily thread it in by hand. While we're here, we can go over the mounting locations and hardware we're going to use. In each one of the weld nuts on both sides of the frame, it's going to get an M12 bolt, and we'll follow that up with a conical tooth washer, and you want to make sure that the teeth are facing up. That will go through the hitch and into the frame. Now we found an easy way to get our hitch in place without fully removing the fascia. If we look on the bottom, we're going to have these metal tabs that have a stud coming through. That's really about the only thing that's going to prevent our hitch from coming up behind the bumper. So if we very carefully just bend these down, it'll give us a little bit more room, and also we can always kind of flex on the fascia a little bit to get the hitch in place. You just want to be careful when you're bending these. You don't want to bend them too much or too fast because we don't want to break them off. We'll bend them out of the way so we have just enough room to get our hitch in place. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch over the exhaust, and you will need to kind of slightly pull out on the fascia tabs as we're lifting up to go around the hitch. Then we can lift our hitch up and line it up with the holes in the frame. And once the hitch is lined up, we'll take our bolt and conical tooth washer, and we're going to get one secure on each side so the hitch will support itself. And with the hitch supported, we can put in the rest of our hardware. We'll come back with a 19mm socket. We're going to snug up all of our hardware. Then we're going to come back and we're going to torque all of our hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. You want to make sure you repeat that for all the remaining hardware. With our hitch in place, we can put the exhaust back up. And we'll go ahead and take those tabs. We're going to bend them straight so they're coming out flat again. Now we're going to have to trim our underbody panel here so that we can fit it back in place. I already went ahead and marked out the area that needs to be trimmed, and we'll find a diagram in our instructions. Now I'm going to come back with a razor knife. I'm just going to score the plastic a few times, going over it a couple times. And then once I have a nice clean line, I can push a little bit harder and cut all the way through. Now it's a good idea to go ahead and test fit the panel and make sure that everything fits properly, and we can always trim more if need be. So we'll lift our panel up. Just going to get everything kind of loosely in place. Want to line up those studs with those screw fasteners. And we can actually just push those back on. We don't have to screw them back into place. That'll help hold the panel up as well. And now we can put all the fasteners back in that we took out earlier. If the white section came out of the push pin fastener, that's okay. Let's push the black part in, and we'll take the center section, line it up, push it in, and it'll lock it down. That'll finish up your look at the Etrailer Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number E98853 on our 2011 Toyota Sienna.